Mr. District Attorney. Champion of the people. Defender of truth. Guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
Operator, this is an emergency. Get me the police, quick. Hello? I want to report a murder at the 20th and Maple. A man deliberately hit by a car. Yeah, I'll tell you my name. Joseph J. Cogan. You already have my address. Yeah, I'm well known down at headquarters.
Well, just about here, officer, where you took the picture. It was a red car, a coupe. I didn't notice the make, but it looked like one of these old hopped-up jobs.
Did you notice anything else that might help to identify it, sir?
Let me think. No, sir, I really don't remember.
What about the driver? You say you got a pretty good look at him?
Just for a minute, but I'd remember him all right, officer. He was a young fellow, in his early 20s, I'd say. Blonde hair, kind of ordinary looking. Seemed to be wearing overalls or at least some kind of work clothes.
Hello, Mac. Hiya, Pete. Homicide in on this?
Well, I don't know yet.
This is Mr. Thompson, Sergeant Calder.
Oh, yeah.
Saw the whole thing.
Are you sure you were the only witness to this accident, Mr. Thompson?
Well, I didn't see anybody else. The street was deserted.
And the way you saw it, the man practically ran into the path of the car?
Yes. Well, I'm sure it was unavoidable. Not that I'm condoning the driver for speeding away. Is anything wrong?
Well, there seems to have been another witness.
Oh?
Well, we'll get in touch with you again, Mr. Thompson.
I assure you every word I told you was the truth.
I don't doubt your word at all, Mr. Thompson. Thanks for your help.
What's the deal, Mac?
Well, this other witness, Cogan's his name, says he saw everything from the alley. Claims it was deliberate murder.
I want to talk to Mr. Stevens, please. This is Mr. Thompson. Well, tell him it's very important. Hello, Mr. Stevens. I'm terribly sorry to bother you, but something important's come up. I've just come from the police.
I see. Was the other witness's name mentioned? Well, let's wait until we find out who he is. I think the worst that can happen is it would be your word against his, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks for your help. We'll deposit your money to your account tomorrow.
Go on in, Mac. I haven't seen you since you've been transferred to homicide. How do you like it?
Oh, it's a nice change from burglary. You meet such interesting people.
I hope you have someone to meet on the golf course today. We could both use a breath of fresh air.
Well, you're the district attorney, Paul. Why don't you see if you can arrange it?
What's up?
Hit and run, 5:40 this morning. I thought your office might be interested. Take a look at the one who was killed.
Cal Harris.
He's the same one who walked out from your bookmaking indictment a year ago.
Well, what was he doing in town?
Well, we don't know. He flew in last night. Last we heard, he was a collector for a Northern Bookie Syndicate.
Any local rumbles about his death?
No. The Vice Squad says there's no organized bookie activity in town. But take a look at the second page, Paul.
One witness says Harris practically walked into a red coupe. The other says he was run down deliberately by a gray sedan. Did you talk to both witnesses personally?
Only with Thompson. I ran a preliminary check on him. Good, substantial businessman.
What about this Cogan?
He seems to be a harmless crank. He keeps bothering the department with all kinds of crazy things. We're still trying to locate him to learn more about his story. His wife said he went out last night to get a paper and then didn't come back. She thinks he got in a poker game.
Cogan. Joe Cogan. Sure, I remember him. He was in here 4 or 5 months ago. He claimed he invented some kind of a new lie detector.
That's Cogan, all right.
Hello. Just a minute for you.
Calder speaking. Yeah. Oh, hold it a minute. A prowl car just picked up Cogan in the park. Do you want him brought over to the scene of the accident? I checked with Eberly at the lab, and they'll have some pictures for us in a while.
Well, Mac, I'd like to talk to him at his home in front of his wife to see what he says. Is it okay with you?
Sure. I'll tell Eberly to meet us later. I have the officers bring Mr. Cogan over to his house. Mr.
The town's been quiet lately. Maybe too quiet. What was an important bookie like Harris doing here? Let's hope this was just a nice, simple accident.
And furthermore, you whelp, the next time you lose my money at poker, you'll end up in a hospital. I'm sick and tired of scrubbing floors for a living while you loaf.
Sounds like the place.
You stay right where you are. I'll get it. Yes, what do you want?
Well, my name is Garrett. I'm the district attorney. This is Sergeant Calder of the police department.
How do you do?
We'd like to talk to Mr. Cogan.
What's he done now?
He phoned the police concerning a hit-and-run case he claims to have witnessed this morning.
Fine witness he is. He ain't told the truth in 30 years.
Wait till you see my picture in the paper, woman. As a key witness, I'll be a celebrity.
Mr. Cogan, where were you at the time the accident took place?
I was coming out of an alley where I just spent 3 to 4 hours of peaceful slumber.
Why didn't you stay there, you worm? That's where you belong, in an alley.
Were there any other people in the street, Mr. Cogan? Another witness?
No, I was the only witness to the murder.
What makes you so sure it was murder?
But what else could have it been when a guy walks out of a hotel like this and a car bears down on him and he sees the driver, he recognizes him, and he realizes his intent. So he runs over this way and the car follows him. Crash, bang, and hits him. I would have saved the poor lad's life, only I was so stiff and sore from sleeping against the garbage pail, I could barely move.
Sure, you'd have saved his life.
Did you happen to see the driver of the car, Mr. Cogan?
Well, certainly. Anybody as well trained in crime detection as I am would certainly notice what the driver looked like.
Well, good for you. What did he look like?
Well, he was wearing dark glasses and he had his hat low over his face. That's all I could see.
Or did you happen to notice the make of the car or any part of the license plate numbers?
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't pay too much attention to the car. It was a gray sedan.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Cogan, is it possible that this story is very much in the same vein as the stories you reported to us in the past?
Are you doubting my veracity, sir?
Well, as a matter of fact, it wasn't too long ago you reported seeing some little men from Mars flying into town.
Not to mention the invasion of flying saucers that you came running to us about.
Just a minute. I'm the only one here that's got a right to call Cogan a liar.
Well, nobody's calling your husband a liar, Mrs. Cogan, but we do need his help. You're an intelligent woman. What do you think?
Come here, Cogan. Did you tell them a lie about seeing men from Mars?
Yes, dear.
And were you lying about seeing flying saucers?
Yes, dear.
Now about this accident. And no cock and bull yarns.
I saw it with my own eyes.
Well, that settles it. Anything else you want to know?
Oh, not at the moment. But we'll be in touch with you, Mr. Cogan.
Thanks for your assistance, folks. You have Mr. Garrett's card in case you wish to get in touch with us.
Oh, Mr. Garrett.
Yes?
Haven't you forgotten something?
What's that?
Well, I phoned the police this morning. You know, it cost a dime.
Well, we don't want to take advantage of our citizens, do we? Oh, there you are.
And if you need any help to solve your case, you're free to call on me anytime.
Well, we might just do that, Mr. Cogan. The point of impact. All we have to go on now are the findings of the boys in the crime lab. And out of the 50 or more pictures that traffic took, there are only a handful that really mean anything to us.
Here's where the car hit him. Right there where the shoe marks are. The driver applied his brakes pretty quickly.
How fast do you figure he was going?
Well, judging from the distance Harris was thrown, at least 40. Now, let's move down here. See how the car swerved out of his lane. There are definite brush marks.
Well, let's get out of the middle of the street. Did you learn anything about the car at all?
Only the tire size. Probably 670-15s, low-pressure type. Pretty new.
That's it, huh?
Afraid so, Paul. Not very much to go on.
Well, we learned one thing anyway. The car did swerve across the street into the wrong lane to hit Harris.
Sure did, almost to the curb.
Well, that's the way Cogan tells it, Mac. But didn't the other witness say that the car traveled a straight line down the street?
Yeah, Thompson was quite certain about that. The boys at the lab said they found paint on Harris, an undercoating paint. They figured the left fender must have been pretty badly dented. We're checking with all the garages and the repair stations. Anything you want to check on, Paul?
Yes, I'd like to talk to Mr. Thompson again. Can we give you a lift?
No, thanks, Paul. Have my car. See you.
Take it easy.
Oh, excuse me a moment, sir.
Mr. Thompson?
Sergeant?
This is Mr. Garrett, the district attorney.
Mr. Garrett.
How do you do? Mr. Thompson, we'd like to verify your story. You reported that the hit-and-run car was in the proper lane at the time of the accident.
Oh, yes, I'm certain of it. The car kept within its lane all the time. That poor pedestrian must have been half asleep. He just walked right into it.
Mr. Thompson, is there any possibility at all that your line of vision was obscured, even for just a moment?
Well, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Garrett, I actually didn't witness the car hitting the man. I'm rather timid by nature, and I was forced to close my eyes and turn away when I realized what was going to happen.
But you saw everything up to that point.
Oh, yes, I can swear to that. Then I forced myself to open my eyes, and after I heard the impact of the car hitting the man, by then it was back in its right lane again.
I see. Then the rest of your story, the blonde and the coupe, the driver, you'd be willing to testify to these facts under oath?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. You have a nice store here. How's business?
Oh, fair for this time of the year. Anything you gentlemen need?
Oh, nothing right now. But we'll be in touch with you, Mr. Thompson.
Anytime, gentlemen.
Goodbye.
You want to wait here, Paul? I'll bring your car around.
Yeah. Who's the screwball here? Cogan or Thompson? One witness has a story that sticks, but he's a congenital liar. The other's a respectable businessman, but his story isn't borne out by what we know actually happened.
I couldn't get anything out of the DA, but my hunch is this other witness told them exactly what happened.
Just stick to your story. Don't change one detail.
Well, if I'd known you were going to swerve over, I would have said that in the first place.
How'd I know Harris was going to start running like that?
Of course, since it's only my word against his, I'm sure the police would have to believe me.
It's not quite so simple. I think I've got a better plan for Cogan.
Mr. J.J. Cogan,
Yes, sir?
I'd like to talk with you in reference to the Harris case.
Are you a lawyer?
Not exactly, Mr. Cogan.
Well, if you're trying to get me to change my version, you're wasting your time. I saw what I saw.
Oh, I was afraid of that, sir. We realized you were a gentleman of perspicacity when you advised the police that Harris had been murdered.
Who are you? Did you kill him?
That honor belongs to my organization. That's why I'm calling on you to enlist your help. Did you ever hear of the WWP? It's an international organization of police whose purpose is to catch the most dangerous of criminals. Top-ranking spies.
Spies? Harris was only a bookie.
It's a perfect cover-up for his real work. Don't you see, Mr. Cogan? We couldn't take the chance of liquidating him in any other way.
Well, why don't the police know about this?
We can't let the word get out. However, in view of your connection with the case, we feel that you should be entrusted to tell the district attorney.
Then Harris was actually an enemy agent.
He was the chief of enemy espionage. I'm sure that when you explain all this to the district attorney, he'll understand.
I'll see him right away. Now, you sure there's nothing else you want me to tell him?
No, nothing. Except we knew, Mr. Cogan, that we could count on you. Good day, sir.
That's what the man told me to tell you. I thought you'd be glad to hear it.
So Harris was an enemy spy, huh?
No, you missed the whole point, Sergeant. He's the chief enemy spy. You understand that, don't you, Mr. Garrett?
Of course I understand it, Mr. Cogan. And thanks very much for coming in.
Oh, that's all right, any time. How about me giving this out to the newspaper?
No, I don't think I would if I were you, Mr. Cogan. Goodbye. Well, there goes Cogan's original story, all right.
Yes, and we're right back where we started. We'll have to follow through as Thompson described it.
I'm afraid that's the only way we're going to get anywhere.
Oh, and while you're at it, Mac, will you do something for me?
Sure, Paul. What is it?
Well, see what you can find out about Mr. Thompson.
Well, how do you mean?
Specifically, some kind of a tie-in between Harris and Thompson.
Well, now you're beginning to sound like our friend Cogan. What makes you think there's a tie-in?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. But as long as we're going to check him, we might as well dig as deep as we can. You can strike oil that way sometimes. There are a lot of things that we can't hide in this complex civilization of ours. Things that become a matter of public record, like marriage and divorce, business openings and credit rating, bank balances, how and where the money is spent. Private information that becomes accessible to public departments when the need arises.
Here's what I called you about, Paul. Take a look at Mr. Thompson's business balance, going back to the first of the year.
It's unusually low for a man who's supposed to have a substantial business. Well, maybe he only keeps enough on the account to pay outstanding obligations.
Not quite. Here, 3 months ago, one of his checks bounced. The same thing happened last month.
No?
And take a look at the deposits he's made over the last 6 months. Low and infrequent. Not at all the way a businessman would operate.
I wonder what he's doing with his money. Maybe he's trying to do Uncle Sam out of some taxes.
Maybe. But look at this last deposit he made. The largest one he made in 2 years.
$5,000. Cash.
Look at the date, Paul. It was deposited on the 12th.
It's funny he should make such a deposit the day after Harris was killed. Let's ask Mel a question.
I don't know what right you have to ask me a question like that. However, the $5,000 deposit can easily be explained. I won it in a horse race. I've been playing the races for some time now, which also explains my low balance and the 2 bad checks.
What was the name of the horse, Mr. Thompson?
Little Buckaroo, 4th race at Cedarhurst on the 11th.
That's an out-of-state track. How did you place your bet?
Through the bookie syndicate. It's legal in that state. I phoned them.
How much did you bet, Mr. Thompson?
I don't remember exactly. I played it across the board.
Do you mind if we check on that?
No, not at all.
Did you know that Harris worked for a bookie syndicate?
Not until I read it in the papers.
Well, that'll be all for now, Mr. Thompson.
Not quite, Mr. Garrett. I think I've got a right to say something, too. I reported that accident with the same spirit of public interest that any good citizen would have under the circumstances. My only reward has been persecution, suspicion of collusion, and the lowest kind of prying into my personal affairs.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Mr. Thompson.
I do feel that way, and you can rest assured this is the last time I offer the police any cooperation. Good day, gentlemen.
Well, I think I explained everything satisfactorily to them, Mr. Stevens. However, they'll undoubtedly check my story.
Well, we figured they would. It's all set up. Now, one thing more. They might put a tail on you, so don't try to see me. Understand? If you have to contact me, use one of those public phone booths.
Character.
Thompson's starting to get in your hair, boss?
Yeah. Doesn't seem to realize I'm a sick man. Where are those pills? Keeps bothering me with these picayune details.
How long do you think he'll hold out if the cops keep needling him?
A long time. They can't prove he's done anything illegal. But suppose they could prove Cogan has.
Here's that Cedarhurst report.
Well, if we can take the word of the bookies, Thompson's on the level. He did make a bet that day.
Well, let's face it, Paul. We have absolutely no evidence against Thompson. Everything checks, except the way he described the accident.
Then there's only one possibility. Somehow we reconstructed the accident wrong. That it actually happened the way Thompson saw it.
Calder speaking. Yeah? Hmm? Oh, hold it a minute. Well, here's a hot one for you.
What?
Our friend Kogan has just been arrested. They're booking him now.
What for?
Possession of stolen goods.
You're kidding.
No, it's that jewelry store robbery the other night. They tied him in with that.
Do you mind having him brought down to the office, Mac? Oh, and I'd like to see a full report from the arresting officers.
Right.
I have an idea. I don't like to do it to him because I think he's really a pretty nice little guy under that veneer of lies. But let's see what a little shock treatment might do to him. The police seem to have found plenty of proof that you were mixed up in that jewelry store burglary, Mr. Kogan.
A garage full of stolen goods, a pair of eyeglasses were found on the floor of the store that were traced to you. That was pretty careless of you, Kogan.
Please, gentlemen, won't you listen to my story?
We're tired of your cock and bull stories. We'd like to hear the truth for a change.
But this is the truth, I swear it. It happened like this. 2 days ago, a man wanted to rent my garage for some secret experiments.
Secret experiments? Oh, here we go again.
Oh, this is the truth. He made me a good price, and I let him rent it, and he unloaded some boxes. I swear, I don't know what was in them.
How does that explain the police finding your glasses in the store?
Oh, I don't know. It just happened 2 or 3 days ago. I lost them. They just disappeared.
Who do you think took them, Kogan? One of those men from Mars?
I'm telling the truth, Sarge.
This man who rented your garage, did your wife meet him?
No, I didn't even tell her about him. I wanted to keep the money for myself.
Take him back to the tank, Mac. We'll probably throw some additional charges against him in the morning.
All right, come on, Kogan.
Mr. Garrett, I'm innocent. You're persecuting an innocent man.
Officer, take care of him. Well, what do you think, Paul?
I think we were rough enough to get the truth out of him.
That's the way I felt about it. You know, the men that pulled that job were top pros. Now, why would they want an old nut like Kogan in with them?
You're right. They were fast and left no prints. The only thing left behind was a pair of easily traced eyeglasses.
The one completely phony thing to me is that why would they turn over all that loot for him to hide in his garage?
Yeah, it smells like a frame-up. I'm going to get Kogan released to my custody.
What do you got in mind?
Well, in the parlance of our friends, a little three-way parlay. Kogan to Thompson to the man or men behind the Harris's killing. And we need Kogan out of jail to do it.
Mr. Thompson?
What is it?
I got a tip for you. The boss is afraid that you're cracking up. Thinks you might talk.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't bother me or I'll call the police.
Okay, have it your own way. But be careful of that gray sedan.
Who sent you here?
A friend of Harris.
I still don't know what you're talking about.
We have it. 6235789.
Hello, Stevens. Listen to me, because my next call is going to be to the police. You're not going to double-cross me. I'll tell them everything I know about Harris's murder.
Don't be a fool, Thompson. I'm not doing anything to you. Whatever's going on, it's the police who are doing it. You idiot.
Stevens! Stevens!
Thanks, Mr. Thompson. You called the right number for us.
You cover the back.
Are you Stevens?
Yeah.
You Greer?
Yes, sir.
Police officers, we'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
I got him, Mac.
Stop right where you are.
That wasn't very smart, mister. All right, come on. Here are the statements, Paul. Stevens, Thompson, and Greer.
What was this all about, Mr. Garrett?
I'll tell you, Mr. Kogan. Stevens was the behind-scenes boss of a bookie ring. He also ran a jewel theft gang on the side. Harris was double-crossing him. That's why he killed him.
Was Thompson a member of the gang?
No, he got mixed up in it through gambling.
You know, it's a good thing you had me around to help you out, huh?
Well, you certainly were a help to us, Mr. Cogan, and I'd like to do something for you in return.
Oh, that's not necessary, Mr. Garrett, but if you insist.
Well, I thought I might line you up with a good job.
Job? Job? Oh, you're like all the police. You're always butting in everybody's business. If you're through with me, I'd like to go home. Good morning, Mr. Garrett, to you.